I done did a lot. You ain't did shit at all. Whipping up a pop, show you how to get it off. I don't merely rock.
This is the Frontline radio show. Pop Radio Worldwide, Spotify Premium, iHeartRadio. You already know we are here every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. with the Frontline issues. Today we have Benneth Lee. The bio just goes on and on and on. So we're going to go right on into it. Mr. Lee, please introduce yourself to the Frontline supporters.
My name is Benneth Lee, grew up on this west side of Chicago, currently founder of NAFI, National Alliance for the Empowerment of the Formerly Incarcerated.
All right, okay. And I saw professor for Northwestern.
No, Northeastern University.
Northeastern University.
I teach in their Justice Studies Department as well as North Park University in their Social Service Department. Yeah.
Okay, so give us some more on that. Elaborate on that, on the teaching. What are you teaching? What are classes like? How did you get into this? Who is Benneth Lee for the people that don't know who Benneth Lee is?
Well, I come up in the Austin community on the west side of Chicago back in 1966 when it was a predominant white community. And because we young black people had to band together to protect ourselves from the white attackers, that's what forced us to come together as a group. And then we eventually became a known street organization, the Vice Lords, on that west side in the Austin community. We were just young. We didn't know we were going to grow into one of the largest branches of the Vice Lord Nation. I became a chief at that time at 14. We got recorded as the youngest branch of that nation in 1967. And that led me through St. Charles Juvenile Prison, as a result of the riot that happened at the high school we went to in 68. Martin Luther King had just got assassinated, racial tension was high. And so really I got sent away for just defending myself.
Wow.
And when I got down to Little Joliet, ran into some brothers out south, tried me, and I kind of defended myself, and that eventually sent me to St. Charles, where I supposed to went to camp. And those 3 months initially, I supposedly it turned to 2 years. So I didn't come out till I was 17 after being gone since I was 15.
Wow.
Right, and that's when my life really turned around there, because I was preoccupied my time reading books like Black Gangster by Donald Goins, the whole song.
Before you get to that, Ben, I want you to talk about, okay, you're young. So we look at leaders, right? When we talk Dr. King, we talk Malcolm X. Those guys was in their 20s, 24, 30. From Fred Hampton to Mark Clark, right? So then we talk street organization. It's the same 16, 18, 20 years old. Y'all was exercising maneuvers of manhood, or as you call it, protection of the community. So at what point, Ben, before we get into you, because you got a huge history, at what point do we go from, protecting our communities to violating our community? Because a lot of people don't understand how easy that is from all the different branches and mob, that they didn't start off like, we just gonna victimize our people.
Right.
So we get an opportunity to then now be in leadership, and then our communities get filtered with drugs and guns. Can you talk on that a little bit?
Well, when we go back to the LSD movement in the 60s, that's the Vice Lord Stones and Disciples, they formed that citywide coalition. Initially, the Vice Lords shut down the construction of University of Illinois Chicago, UIC, right? And they were saying they're not going to hire black contractors, the building ain't going up. And Calloway, who was one of the original Vice Lords, was the first cousin of Bull, Gene Harrison, one of the founders of the Blackstone Rangers. So that brought them into the fold. So the Vice Lords would go out south to support them shutting down construction site of the extension of University of Chicago in Woodlawn. And then you had the Disciples out there, and so that kind of brought everybody together. Because what happened, the street organization then became part of the Black Power movement.
Yes, sir.
Now, I want to pause on that real quick because I want to elaborate on that because the gang affiliation that we know of in these latter years, I want to just kind of put a focus, and I want everyone to chime in on what you're talking about how every one of us know the Vice Lords, the GDs, the Stones, and we all know, but I'm loving hearing you speak on the organization of and how all these gangs, they brought the community together and they brought everything together and they worked together. I just kind of wanted to chime in on that. So if no one is actually paying attention to that factor, and then also what I want to point out with that is to some of these young people out here, these young men that are out here, listen to what this man is saying. Listen to what he is saying the gangs were. Listen to what he's saying how the gangs started, because there are still affiliated young men and young women out there, and they're not doing that. And I just kind of wanted to chime in on that because I think gangs have always, of course, gotten a bad name. But that's because no one has ever really put out there and actually talked about how organized and how they started off taking care of the community. Not, as you said, killing the community, tearing each other down, killing each other. That's not how it started. So I just kind of wanted to bring some light to that so people can focus on that. Because I need everybody to hear what you're saying about how the GDs, the Vice Lords, the Blackstones, how they came together and assisted and helped the community.
So before you answer that question, we're going to take a break, and I would like you to elaborate more on that. But people, this is Benneth Lee. Well, Benneth Lee, but we call him Benneth Lee, our big brother, our big homie. And if you want to know how ECCSC got started and the ideas that I had about starting and creating organizations of formerly incarcerated men that allow us to take personal responsibility for some of the madness that we cause. It's like this generation dropped the ball on me, my generation dropped the ball on this generation. So our efforts is to give back. So this is the Frontline show. You want to come back, you don't want to miss it. Pop Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Premium, come back.
Calling all cars. Ganga. They jump in my headphones, can't start. HP, baby. They want that water, can get it. They want that water, can get it. They want that water, can get it. Gang. They want that water, can get it. They want that water, can get it. They want that water, can get it. Gang. They want that.
Welcome back to the Frontline show. I'm your host, Tryone Muhhammad, and Miss Queenie Greene over here. We got a great guest today, man. He can be here anytime he wants. All you got to do is say, man, I got a message I want to talk about and I want to convey. This is his platform, because without shoulders of brothers like this, I don't even exist. And that's what we got to get our brothers and our sons and our daughters back to understanding, that they don't exist without something coming before them, and teach them a level of respect and honor and appreciation for the past. So with that being said, we're back, and Benneth Lee, if you can elaborate further on what Queenie Greene was asking you in terms of how we go from that to this. And we have to talk about COINTELPRO. We have to talk about all the issues that destroys our community.
Right. Well, you know, when you start seeing, when they start seeing LSD stepping into power, right, joining the Black Power movement, doing for self, opening up businesses, getting grants, starting programs. Now, Daily then declared a war on gangs.
Now, Daily, people.
Right? Now, some people know the DeSable Museum on the south side. Before, with the DeSable Museum, it was the Gang Intelligence Unit. That's where they took all cases that was gang related to, right? And so it was initially 25 gang intelligence units, and then when David declared a war on gangs, it grew to 300.
So the gang intelligence unit that keep the database, is that the same database now that our names are being found? Is they using some of that? Is that the whole?
And they don't ever remove it.
They don't never remove it.
They don't ever remove it. And then if you have been on that gang database list, and if you, God forbid, have a child that has any type of anything, now your child is connected to you because your name is on the database.
Wow.
And now your child is a target because his mother's name is in that database. People don't know that either.
Some of the underplay that was going on, as Brother Muhammad mentioned, COINTELPRO. That's the FBI's counterintelligence program to discredit the leadership of the movement, right?
Yes.
When they saw that LSD was moving, then Nixon, who was the president, he pushed out a bill that in order for you to receive funds from philanthropists and federal governments and grants and stuff, you had to have a 501c3.
Right.
But they set up a blocker where LSD couldn't get those, so their money's kind of like blew up. And then you had the Vietnam War coming to an end. And so them
So
brothers,
for those that don't know, LSD, Lords, Blackstone, and Disciple.
right. And so now, when the Vietnam War was ending, a lot of those veterans was coming back to the States, not just in Chicago. So they came with a demand for heroin. And they were strung out on heroin over there. And so they started robbing and all that. And so now they start flooding the black community with heroin.
That is, people.
Right.
Listen
So
to this history.
understand.
Right.
Listen to the history. He telling you.
And then once they did that, they killed off Fred Hampton,
Yes.
Mark Clark, they killed off Malcolm X, they killed off Martin Luther King. They sent Bobby Gordon, who was the spokesman for the Vice Lords at the time, to a trumped-up murder. They locked up Singali, who was the spokesman for the Stones at the time. They harassed OG, who was the spokesman for the Disciples at the time. So they started moving out the leadership, teaching the black community never trust young black leadership.
Wow.
Right? And so that left my generation, me, China Joe, all us, White Cloud, Little Turkey, all of us. We were coming out of juvenile around that time when this was happening. So when we hit the streets in 71, 72, right, there was a whole new culture now. Before, in 68, 69, people was wearing afros and dashikis. James Brown singing, "Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud." They was in the show with the Black Power movement. But when we came home in the early 70s, you know, people done cut their afros off. Now they got super fly hairdos. Right? So they kind of, that culture shift changed. Right? We got caught into that platform shoes. Then we ended up in the penitentiary in the mid-70s, right? Because we were C numbers, right? And that left the little brothers out here to fend for themselves. Now those businesses that was in black communities vanished. Like where I come from on the west side, you had Zenith in Austin. Then you had Motorola. Brock's Candy, in fact, was the largest candy company in this country.
My grandfather used to work for General Motors. They got a car every year, a new car. So those businesses, steel mills, everything was in the hood.
In the hood. And so now in the late 70s, those businesses left the neighborhood. And so now those are like booming middle class neighborhoods. There was middle class neighborhood. But when all that went out, it depleted, right? And now, even today, you can't find one business that can hire 10 fathers at one time. Right?
Wow.
So now that's what happened in the 70s. Then they flooded the media with New Jack City. And now the young brothers, the street gang culture shifted.
No, before you get to that, for us, because that was my coach, that was me. I was watching the NWAs. I was watching all the movies that gave us, you know, with the GDs, with the bogus boys, and we was doing all the stuff. So I'm saying before that happened, there's that shift where the jobs are gone. Now we have no means by which to, or limited means by which to care for our family. Now the drug game. And how do that work now? It's like, what do we do? How do that happen? Who's putting it? How do we, I mean, there's levels to this disenfranchisement in our demoralized community.
But you know, I like, as he was saying, because that's something that a lot of people don't know, and people think that the, you know, addictions things started here in the communities. But as you said, if anyone, I think Dead Presidents is one of the movies that kind of really shows you what was actually going on then, because you had I think in Chris Tucker played, and he came from war addicted, and then he came from war addicted, and then coming into the community, as you said, you had so many soldiers that came back addicted to what the opioids and things that they were getting from over there, then that had to be brought into the community to serve their addictions. And then that's when, you know, your crack rocks and all all of that was brought into the community to take away my grandfather and my grandmother and my mother and my aunts, and then and it's trickled down. But a lot of people don't understand that this was all a master plan. We just wasn't in our communities just strung out like that. I mean, it was brought to our communities and then we latched onto it, but it was brought here for a specific purpose.
I think that, yeah, you're right.
And that was to take us down.
Real quick, then we got 3 minutes before we go to the next break. So can you do you remember what I said and anything that Queenie just added to elaborate for the people?
Well, yeah, because you know, when, like Dr. Amos Wilson said, that when you put a people in a position where they can't love each other, then you're going to see a people that's going to kill each other. And for them to deplete the community with opportunities, right? Like Franz Fanon said in Wretches of the Earth, you get a group of oppressor, oppressing, oppressed.
Yes.
And oppressed means of fighting back, but their means are ineffective. So the oppressed take on the same means as the oppressor. And then the oppressor moves out the picture, and then the oppressed start oppressing each other. And that's what you see in these communities here. But initially we was fighting whites for jobs and housing. When the whites moved out, we started fighting each other over that stuff. But then they gave us a little to go with, and that's poverty. Poverty is the parent of crime and revolution.
The projects.
Yeah.
So listen, when we come back, man, y'all see the brother got history. We needed, you know, he on the speaking circuit, so I've heard him speak on several times, and I've heard him give lectures in college. And he's also a college adjunct professor, right? College professor at Northeastern University. And he was at North Park at one point, wasn't he? And then that's why I heard a couple of his lectures. One time I was sitting in the audience, he didn't even know I was there. I was there. And I got witnesses, but that's how it is, man. We got to sometime, man, just appreciate history, learn from history, grow from history, and then apply the principles. So with that being said, come on back. This is Frontline.
I'm addicted to the money. I'm addicted to the cash.
Addicted to the money, addicted to the cash. Them suckers blowing smoke, baby, I be the gas. Real deal when I spit, I was born in it.
Welcome back to the Frontline Show. Pop Radio, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium. Thank you all once again for tuning in. Listen, we getting a history lesson today. This is a long overdue interview, and like I say, this floor is open to brothers like this, man, who when I was younger, I mean, these are the men who we looked up to when we had structure. Nowadays, we have to get back to structure so that we can control our community and the resources coming in our community. But with that being said, Benny, you go now to the prisons from the activities that we was I would say our environment led us to.
Right.
And then you end up in prison. You served how many years?
Well, I went in at 19, I came out at 27 and went right back before I turned 28 and came out, I was 30.
You went in at 19, so all together you did 35 years?
Wait, actually went in at 40s. Went in at, the first time you went in, you say it was like
15, I came out at 17, then I went back at 19, I come out at 27, went back at 27, come out at 30.
So you probably spent what, about 40 years in prison?
No, about 15 years.
15 years?
I've been out 35.
Okay, got you. I better say, hey, listen, and with that being said, now you are what is considered back then indeterminate sentencing, right?
Right.
Called C numbers.
Right.
Can you explain to the people, because we got C numbers languishing in prison, man, some as long as probably 50 years now.
Yeah.
And with one murder.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, and I want you to expound on that. And it's like sad, like when my uncles was and big homies was going to prison, they was getting 10 years. Then the next generation got 20. Then my generation got 40. My little brother doing 85 years in Stateville. Now these shorties catching one body. The crime didn't change.
Right.
The mitigating factors didn't change. Legislators enhanced the sentencing to say, quote unquote, tough on crime laws.
Right.
And now our children are never coming home to do what me and you are doing right now. Please expound on that.
A C number is anybody that got convicted prior to 1977. And what that means is, like, you got guys that got locked up prior to 1977, was eligible for parole around 1987. So they've been going to the parole board since 1987.
A perpetual parole board.
Every year they go to parole board and get denied. But the thing is, they're not denying these brothers parole for who they are, right? They denied parole for the case that happened over 40 years ago.
Wow.
So when we met with Kim Fox, the state's attorney, we advised her because she didn't know what a C number was. So we educated her who they were. So somebody from her office go to that parole hearing every year to challenge the parole based on the case that happened over 40 years ago. And not looking at this brother as a model prisoner, a mentor to young people, having gift tickets and all that stuff. So now they need to change that. And that's what the C numbers is. And now these little guys, now they're not going to parole board every year. They just get a determinate sentence. So they can calculate how much when they're going to get out by the time they receive.
Right.
But a C number, you don't know when you're going to get out because you go, like Larry Hoover never got parole.
Now you can have your credit.
He in the federal system, but if the Fed let him go right today, he got to go back to a state prison and face the parole board because he was a C number.
Now on a regular basis, everything else, you got 7 years. 7 years, wipe some stuff off your credit. 7 years, you got these things that'll drop off. 7 years, hell, if you kill you, if you fake your death and you wait like 7 years, you can come back after that. But you're telling me 40 years, a person is still. I wasn't gonna say it, but still being effed out their life. For the most part, 40 years for something that happened. For some people, as a child, just in the wrong place and the wrong time, maybe being around the wrong crowd. So basically, we have people in prison that are not given a chance to say that they have changed. They're a different person. They are still being strung along the prison system for something that happened maybe as a child.
And another example, I just went to one of my homies, Clemency here in Hitler. He's been locked up 37 years just for a gun. He didn't shoot nobody with the gun. He didn't do nothing. He didn't rob nobody with the gun because he was a C number and got out. And now they labeled him a habitual criminal. He got life just for a gun. P. Charlie got life for a plain robbery because he was labeled a habitual criminal. He used to be a C number, but he got out. So they targeting brothers like that, burying them in the prison because he's lost. But we got to look at who we are as a people. We can challenge that, but we're not. You get a lot of people come out of that joint,
they stop
and they be like, well, I done did my time, that's all behind me. But they need to come out the closet.
That's right.
Like what they looked at, about 4.1 million people in Illinois that got convictions in their background.
4 point something. Right. Our voting block is the biggest voting block over more than the LGBTQ.
Right.
Because we bring a family. I can bring every family female in my household to vote my interest.
Right.
That's not times 5 or 10.
Yeah. And we're not using that power. That's how my organization started, NAFI, National Line for the Empowerment of Former Incarcerated. Brothers was calling me and sisters calling me saying they coming home, they complain about they can't get jobs. So I challenged them that we the most passive group in the country. We don't speak up for ourselves. So that's when we moved to start building a strong voting bloc to change some of these policies and these laws and stuff. And then it grew into a non-for-profit organization. But that's our biggest issue. Former incarcerated and convicted people are not coming together and speaking up for ourselves. I don't need no legislator to talk for me.
You
I know how to speak for myself.
No question.
I don't need them to speak for me.
So for every person that's not speaking up about what they dealt with and what they dealt with for 30 and 40 years and just figuring that I did my time is behind me, for every person that does not step up, that's another person that's going to be taken through the same thing.
You go back to the 13th Amendment, when they so-called freed the slaves. You know, when you look at it, say no person of U.S. citizenship should be subject to slavery or indentured unless otherwise convicted of a crime. So that gave them legitimate grounds for anybody that got a conviction to
now be
force
within
these social disabilities on them. Disable them to live up to the norms of society, because like I've been out 35 years, but I can't get certain licenses. I can't legally own a gun, and my wife I might have to move. All this crazy stuff. Walmart might say, well, our policies say we. Now these are not laws; these are policies. But we got to challenge these policies. People need to know who their legislators are. Challenge those legislators, right? But we sleep.
Well, we're asleep. Well, this is the Frontline show. This show is designed to wake us up.
Wake them up.
We on the front line of the issues. And so listen, come on back. I got a lot more questions for Benny. And y'all get ready, man. This is the Frontline show.
I done did a lot. You ain't did shit at all. Whipping up a pop, show you how to get it off. I don't really rock.
This is the Frontline show, Pop Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Premium. Man, we got a lively discussion going on. We getting a history lesson, and as always, Benneth Lee is taking us to school. Since he is a professor, this is natural for him. He teaches this on the campus. What is the course? What are the courses you teach? What are they called? Now listen. Now, this man went from serving prison time to being an adjunct professor in a university, and you've been teaching for how many years now?
11 years.
11 years. See, this is what Reformation looked like. I've been home 2.5 years, bro, and I haven't rested yet. And trying to, I'm not gonna use trying no more this year.
You're not trying.
Putting forth a platform that gives us some information that challenges the status quo, and unapologetically kick some Negroes in the ass. And that's what it is, because these are the people that allow us, from the pastor to the politicians, and even our old leaders and gang chiefs who have not yet stepped up and said, hey, we're going to take responsibility for what we helped create or allowed to be created. So I get a lot of flack from people, but I'm not going to move from that position that why should we wait for someone to do for us what we more than capable of doing for ourselves? And then transitioning to that, you even have peace circles that you do at your center. And you have always displayed an effort to try to unify us, the formerly incarcerated. I call us the perpetual underclass. And it's always, all this society and this world have for us as black men and women now, because women are starting to fill the prisons up quicker than us, is prisons and graveyards. That can't be acceptable. We have to rise above that and figure it out. We have to figure out a way to better organize our disenfranchised bodies to action. And I let you
Can I read something before he does that? Can I read something? And I just want to give a shout out to Karen Hicks. She's always supporting Chile for us. She put up a post, and it means so much. It says, I just want black men and black women to admit that we have hurt each other and stop trying to argue who has hurt who the most and start healing each other. That was very powerful, and I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, because that's what you guys are talking about, especially with peace circles and things. This is what we need to start doing. We need to start healing each other. Like you said, we have to do this for ourselves. we need to start healing each other. That means we have to come together every which way possible, because they're not going to do it. Nobody's going to do it for us.
And they shouldn't do it.
And what I see a lot of, like, brothers and sisters, the change is a struggle. Like, I take myself for example. When I was making my transformation, my own homies was like, you done lost your heart.
Yes.
You done got soft. Them people done brainwashed you. I done came to a new awareness, right? And I had to set new limits for myself.
Sir.
I live by what you call the law of possibility.
Yes, sir.
You know, I know my homie still plug here or whatever. And if I let him in my truck, I don't know what he done did an hour ago.
Yes.
What he got.
That's right.
He gonna jeopardize.
We're going to jail together.
Yes.
Yeah, so what kind of homie is he really?
If he don't let you know,
No,
I'm not, man, I'm dirty.
Yes.
So that's one of the issues a lot of young brothers struggle with, is setting them boundaries with their peers, right?
No question.
Now, when I was going to school to get my degree, it wasn't my plan. It's just I got pulled into it. And when I was a student, some of the professors that was teaching classes in criminal justice and around street gangs, they would ask me to come speak in their classrooms.
Right.
And when the students do these evaluations, my name kept popping up. So when I finally got my master's degree, you know, you got to do this big old thesis paper. I said, I want to do my thesis paper on the history of the vice lords.
Right.
How they got grant monies and opened up businesses and showed that if a street gang can get the necessary support, they can become a community organization.
Yes.
At first they frowned on it, but when I showed them the newspaper clippings and educate them, they allowed me. And I got my master's degree on that project. And then that project turned into a museum, right? And so they had a class at Northeastern on the history of Chicago gangs, and that's when they approached me, asked me would I be willing to teach that class. And I said, sure. And so I've been teaching that class. They saw I was effective as a teacher. Then they gave me another class, prison, what is called prison reentry systems, how to look at reentry as a system, right? I had to create the curriculum and all of that.
Oh,
Then another class, theories of criminal behavior.
So here you are, man, ex-felon, gang chief, sitting here grading white boys and girls papers.
But check this out. What really get me, it's like when I teach this introduction to criminal justice, right? Some of my students are parole agents, police officers trying to get a degree. I used to be in their custody. Now they my students.
I know that's right.
Man,
I know that's right.
I just I bore witness of a brother come in while you sitting there. He didn't know you was here. Said you was his counselor while you was in prison. So that's just amazing. We never know who lives we touch, man. And it's like, well, how can we not have a platform? It's no reason why once a month you have to be able to come through here or from on my other channels. And talk about these things, man. It has to happen. We got to keep freaking away. Just as it is, I mean, how easy it is for you to do that on the college campus, and you with your skill and proficiency has to be done with this media, man. Because this is what we tied into.
We can't keep hearing it from the people who've never been through it.
And there's always negative when they tell the story.
Yes, because they've never been through it. When they tell the story, they tell it from hearsay. They tell it from what they think they know. They tell it from what they've heard in police stations. They tell it from that way. This is the actual, true, real story lived, not from a parole officer, not from a judge, not from a police officer.
Someone who's a criminologist who did research. They'll never have to live this.
Who's never lived in the hood, never lived on the streets, never lived to see actually what we go through. You know, and I know for me, it bothers me just when I hear music. You know, you have a slew of rappers that came out with a song Chirac. How can you talk how can you call us Chirac? How can you have music? How can all these outsiders talk about what's going on these streets? And they don't walk these streets.
Listen, when we come back, I need Benneth Lee to just go in rapid fire about, you know, the elements and what it's gonna take for us. You know, it's a million solutions to getting us back on track in these communities. Violence downtown, violence in the hood, all of it is violence that trickles and harm individuals and communities. So with that being said, come on back. We're not done. This is the Frontline Show.
Turn me up, K-Star.
Wavy Boy
These
Productions.
niggas wanna rumble, man. They wanted murder. They wanted pain. They wanna rumble. They wanna play.
Welcome back to the Frontline Show. Look, this is it's a heavy topic. It's not as heavy as it could get. This is the first time we really speaking on this level, because even going through all the things that I've gone through in the street, I'm not qualified or more qualified to speak about these issues than a brother, an elder who's lived these he actually walked in and lived and been in an institution with gang chiefs from every branch, every mob. So people we often hear about and talk about, he served time in these 9x12, 6x9 spaces, cages, and it's just an honor and a privilege. And like I say, this platform and any platform that I'm on is always open for men like Benneth Lee and those brothers out there, man, that feel they have a voice and feel they need to or ready to take their place on the front line, because you're really not done, brothers, no matter how old you are, until that casket hit the grave. So you got a responsibility. And if there's something beyond this life, and I believe it is, you have to account for that which you chase after. If you're chasing after money, you're chasing after fame, you're chasing after celebrity. I'm an agitator, I'm a conflictist. I'm always want to bring conflict to society to address the ills that we've been caught up in. Not often by our own hands, but nonetheless, we've been caught up in them. So with that being said, man, Ben Lee, you got this flow till you done speaking, and you can take it in any direction you want, and you make sure at the end, and I'll let you know, you tell the people how to find you, how to support you, and some initiatives I believe we'll be working on sooner or later. It's been overdue for us to get together and start doing things surrounding incarceration and imprisonment. So the perpetual this state of this prison industrial complex. So with that being said, man, the floor yours.
Well, I want to first say I'm more than honored to be on this platform, because guys like yourself don't really have a lot of regards for a lot of guys.
Yes, no doubt about
that's
it.
faking out here. So that's an honor just to be here, right? And I just look at my generation, those that's left, we got to become the servants. And what I mean by that is when brothers like Tryone Muhhammad call for us, we got to show up. But we got at the same time be behind them, because this is their time.
Yes, sir.
I had my era.
I've heard you say, man, I got to pass this on. Hey, man, I'm always willing to catch the ball, because if I fall or I drop the ball, I know you're not going to be as critical. I'm going to be able to say, hey, man, I need some help, give me some advice. And I don't have a problem saying I don't know people. I don't.
Right. And I just try to be the message I bring, I'm a professor at a university. I done been a director of program. I'm a certified drug abuse counselor. And the way I look at that is, if I'm successful when I go through that door, then I'm making that door cracked, available for the guys behind me to come through. So that's a responsibility.
Yes, sir.
Now, if I fail when I want through that door, then I'm closing that door from brothers behind me.
No doubt.
Right. So we got to look at being the message we bring. Like I know a lot of brothers, they in these young brothers' faces smelling like marijuana and alcohol. How you expect this little brother to respect you?
That's right.
You're not the message you bring.
Yes.
And then these little brothers, when they look at our communities, how could they respect the men of the community when the men of the community can't even protect them from police brutality?
Yes.
And then the men of the community is not providing for them for owning the businesses and all of that stuff. How you expect them to respect it, right? So they kind of own their own. You seen it, Perkins wrote a book called Home is a Dirty Street. And he used a term called get colony. How the ghetto has been colonized.
Yes.
Right? And when you understand colonization, it comes in three forms. You got the first it's called indirect rule. Like say for a sample, America will go in a country and take it over and control it, but they allow one of the people over there to run it. But America really controls it.
Yes.
That's indirect rule.
Yes.
Then you got direct rule, when America send one of their own over there to run the country. Then you got settled colonization. That's what happened over here. They came over here and they settled. And now everybody got to speak their language, go to their schools, and adjust to their norms. That's settled colonization. And so now we say we got black communities. Really, these are white communities, but black peoples are occupying them. Because they really control these communities.
You know what I come in on that note? You know, I'm getting into the habit of not calling certain aldermen. They are over wards. They are wardens of prisons in our communities. Our communities are prisons, inside of prisons. And everybody in their own circles are in prison in their own mind, whether it's sex, drugs, working. Something has imprisoned them. And these wardens, a.k.a. aldermen, do the bidding of the institution. And it never trickles down to the community to change or correct them or to make their community better.
And a good example is what you all been fighting for, right? You got these aldermen to get this TIF money.
Bro.
And they allowed the mayor to convince them to take the TIF money for their community.
You hear me?
To build up downtown Chicago and the north side when that money was for the community. And you look down Roosevelt Road where all this rioting happened in the 60s during the King's riot. Those vacant lots are still there from the 60s. But you know, I'm
taking them vacant lots. I'm gonna build them up and dig them up, and I'm gonna start putting fruits and vegetables on them. And I'm gonna put my stick in them, and then make them move me. But with that being said, Benneth Lee, we got 3 minutes left. I want you to share with the people how they can get up with you, how the community, and any other information you want to give them to follow you. We gotta get the old man. We got to get the old man on Facebook, y'all.
I got a Facebook page.
All right, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, I'm located in the Austin community, 5820 West Chicago Avenue, inside Sankofa Art and Culture Center. Every Saturday we have what we call a reentry circle. This is a support group for former incarcerated.
And I've been negligent.
Yeah, former incarcerated and convicted people can come and get connected. Every Saturday from 10 to 12, they can come there and they can get, and even grandparents that got grandchildren that come out.
And girlfriends.
They more than welcome to come to get the information they need to be supportive to their family members that they don't understand.
That's right.
So it's like a community circle to address the whole issue of incarceration that impact us as a whole. Not just the individual, but the families also. We have a resource table that'll connect people with resources. We have what we call trained reentry coaches, like a life coach. Like I'm a reentry coach. I could coach a brother or a sister.
I'm gonna steal that, sir. I'm gonna steal that. Y'all heard me. I'm stealing it. Reentry coach.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I can train you on the model. You can take it from me. Matter of fact, if you ready to take the organization over, I hand it to you.
Okay.
I'm trying to retire.
So here we go. Branches in that tree. So go ahead, take us out, Queenie, and let them know where to find us.
All right, make sure you come back every single Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. This is the Frontline Radio Show. I am your co-host, Queenie Greene, host Tryone Muhhammad. This is a Spotify Premium iHeartRadio station. We are broadcasting from Pop Radio worldwide. Pop gave us a platform and we slaying it, baby. We are talking the frontline issues that are hitting the communities, that are hitting our families. This is our radio. We are the voice for the people. We have community activists. We have lawyers. We have doctors. We have professors. We have just some of everybody that is for the community coming in on this show. And we're talking frontline issues every single Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. Make sure you check out Mondays. Tryone is bringing another platform to us for your benefit. Make sure you check out KNTV every Monday at 7.
Congratulations.
That is now in existence. This is sponsored, founded by ECCSC. Thank you to our sponsors. 7-star. Make sure you go to the 7-star website. Check out that police app. It's definitely a needed
Tell
app.
them what it means.
ECCSC.
Please.
Tyrone.
Ex-cons for community and social change.
Ex-cons for community and social change. Make sure you check out this broadcasting. Check out this Peace Circle. Check out this re-entry. Say it again for me.
Re-entry circles.
Re-entry circles in the Austin community. I'll make sure I put that information on my Facebook page. We'll make sure we get that information up on the pages. Make sure you check out Tyrone Muhammad's YouTube page. Check out me everywhere. You can hashtag Queenie Greene. Make sure you check out Benneth Lee everywhere, man. Just check this man out and listen.
He's not done. He'll be
Nowhere
back.
near. And please also make sure you check out my platforms as well. All of for the ending of this month, all of February and going into March, I will be sitting down with just about every judicial candidate. So what that means is the judges, the people who are running for judge on March 17th, I am bringing them to you. I am bringing them and what they say that they are going to do for you. You need to understand, and I put this on Facebook, I put all of their information up. I need you guys to go research them, check them out, find out what they are about, find out who they are, who they're backing, what cases they have already touched. Because one thing that I need for everybody to understand, the reason I am doing this with these judges is because they are going to be determining our lives. If your family, your family, anybody you know, get into some stuff after March 17th, these are the people that are going to be determining their lives. So you need to know who these people are, and you need to know whether you want to vote for them or not. And I'm bringing them to you face first for them to talk. If you have any questions, any concerns, hit me up. Frontline Radio Show. Make sure you come back next week. Once again, Tuesday, 7 to 8 p.m. Tyrone.
Man, next week.
Yeah, my name Benneth Lee again. I want to send a shout out to my brother Tyrone Muhammad and sister Queenie for taking this initiative to create such a platform, which is necessary for our community to hear some truth from people that have actually experienced these situations that's going on in the community. Because a lot of people, they research, they read, and have misinformation, they don't have their facts together. And that's the whole process, is getting your facts together. And once you're getting your facts together, now you share that information. It's like what they're doing now. They're getting the facts, they're getting the information, they're bringing the people in that have the facts, and they're raising the community's awareness. So now it's up to the community to take a stand and be committed to follow through on what they learn, new things, how do we go forward, and then we start doing some negotiation with our own people to change our situation in the community. Again, I just want to shout out to them for taking the lead on this, and these are current leaders today.
Thank you. This is the front line. Stay tuned.